And we are live. Welcome to another episode of So Get This, and I am very honored to have a very special guest by the name of John Preston. And John Preston is a veteran, and he's also a singer and songwriter, and he has very important messages that I think everyone should hear. So welcome, John.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, how are you?
It's kind of weird. Like, I'm looking at myself and I'm looking at you and you're talking and I'm waiting my turn, but we're both broadcasting at the same time. They can see me.
They can see you.
No, hey, what's going on, everybody that's watching?
Well, hopefully there'll be more people watching soon. Okay. So the reason why we're doing the interview is because you are in the process of releasing a very important project that we were going to talk about. First of all, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? I know that you're a veteran of our Operation Iraqi Freedom, and that you began your songwriting career while you were still deployed. Why don't you talk about how that came to happen?
Okay, yeah, hey, absolutely. If you said just tell us about yourself, we don't have enough time for that. But yeah, I'm a Marine, but family of Marines. I grew up. My father was a Vietnam veteran, and kind of set the course for the rest of us in the family. He used to come out with his Purple Heart Award and show it to us and say, "Here you go. You know, like, this is what I'm so proud of in life." And my father fought a shitty war and was still super proud of everything he did. He was so proud of serving his country and doing that. And it resonated through all of us. All three of us served. I'm the youngest of the three. I was the last to be a Marine, but we were all Marines. So in 2004, I deployed to Iraq. I've been with the infantry unit my entire time. I was a wireman by trade. That was my MOS, but in Iraq, I actually worked as a combat squad leader. I'd been with the grunts for a long time while I was in, so they needed people with ground experience to run our mission squad for H&S Company. So that's what I did while I was there. I ran like 120 combat missions or something. But specifically how the songwriting started, I kind of, it was just everything that happens like this is always magic. It just comes from the sky. And we were out on a mission, and the mission was actually to open a school for the Iraqi children. What people didn't understand at that time was we were doing that. Nobody had any clue we were doing that.
I never knew that was going on either.
The media was showing this really bad view of how we were over there, and my goal was to show the world what was really happening. We got surrounded at that point by a bunch of kids that were clapping and chanting, and these kids were great. They would be like, "George Bush, thumbs up, Saddam, no," you know, like, they were so awesome. And we get surrounded by this group of kids, and they're all clapping and chanting, and they're singing, "Good, good America, good, good America." So that happened, and I knew then I had to write that. You know, that very moment, it stuck in my head. I think we sung it in the back of a Humvee on our way back to base. So "Good, Good America" was written that night. Was really quickly, my friend Nick Hoffman, goes by the surname Rick Man Crush on Poop Culture Podcast. Nick and I were together, and he sat down and scribed while I was singing and playing, and we wrote the song pretty quickly. Then a couple weeks later, I think our master guns heard me play it and was like, "I want to hear this." You know, my brother's got a label in Atlanta, you know. So he's telling us, send us off to Atlanta. So we have to figure out how to record it because it's our master gunnery started telling us to do this. So we're like, oh my God. So Nick was very, very in love with the song, more than I was at the time. And he thought it could be much more than just playing it in the barracks with everyone else around, you know, or playing it in our little, called them tin cans in Iraq because it's what we lived in. But so we recorded it with like a 3-megapixel camera, and then after we recorded that, we used the sound from that and did some cuts. Nick at the time used Windows Media Player, which It took us much longer than it would take you today to edit a video, but we edited in like pictures of Iraq and all of that stuff, and it blew up. Our colonel played it at our meeting, and LA Times came to my door and wrote a story, and it hit the entire media circuit. So newspapers in 2004, that was your thing. That's where we got our news. We didn't get it off Facebook feeds.
Right.
And YouTube didn't exist at that time. We had a website called johnpreston.us. So remember the old .us's?
Yes,
So,
I do.
We run it on this website, and LA Times releases in LA, but it also releases in Baltimore and Cincinnati, and it hits the whole circuit. In a day, we had 500,000 downloads, and this is when you had to download the video off of the site and then watch it. So we tore it up. It was amazing. We're in Iraq. I'm fielding phone calls saying, we want you to come, do our TV show or do this, and I'm sitting in Iraq going, I'm in Iraq. Guys, I'm sorry. So I signed a label when I got back in 2004. I had a short run. We did some TV media and some radio, and played some shows. I played the Roxy in LA. That was kind of cool.
Cool.
Way back when, 04 Roxy show. But we did a lot of cool things then, and then it fizzed out. I was drinking too much. It's something that, as we go through the story of my life, has always been a downfall, and I want to share that because I've been sober for a year, and it's completely changed who I am. I'm able to process my own thoughts now instead of trying to drink them away. And at that time, dealing with what I didn't even know at the time was post-traumatic stress. When I got back from Iraq, I was drinking myself to blackout every night, and it was, it's a period in time in life where maybe I would have gone further then, but I think I needed to grow, and I think I needed to get away from that part of life. And I'm glad I am here now versus 12, 14 years ago. I think 14 years ago when it all started. So
I know that it's in, you and I kind of went over the questions earlier before we went live, and I know this is one of my later questions, but I think what you were just talking about is a great segue to ask the question that what are the struggles that veterans and their families experience? Because I don't think that the general public really understands, and Carrie Cahill and I were talking about that, and it's more, because she was explaining to me that it was more because the population of veterans and their families is really 1% of the population, and when you look at it that way, then it kind of makes sense. But I think, do you feel that there's any kind of desensitizing or insensitivities, and what are the struggles that we're really not fully aware of?
First of all, nope, we're not doing questions out of order. No, I'm just
Damn it.
No, seriously, that's a great question, and there's a lot of reason why that is, because every challenge is different, and every challenge for every family is different. Yes, we are kind of the forgotten souls of the country right now, and that's why people like myself and Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Nick Sterling, all these guys that are going to be on my album coming up, that's the reason we're doing what we're doing. We want to make noise. We are making noise for the community. But talking about the troubles in general, it starts at the day you get out. And the integration of going, you have to, it's hard to imagine, but you're this person that's, my job as a Marine, I am first a defender of my nation. That's what I do. I will die tomorrow if I have to die tomorrow in order for that not to be here. That's what we do. That's who we are. When I left Iraq, when I left to go to Iraq, I left my soul here because I didn't know if I was coming back. And that's hard to adjust to, one, just for people that deploy and actually go to combat theater. Coming back, no matter what you did or didn't see, it's hard to adjust. for even people that don't deploy, you go in at 18 years old. You are told what to do every single day, where to be, what to wear, how to go, and you get out and you are thrown to the wolves. You are coming into a civilian world where everybody is, your first, in college is where you learn how to do your own life and do whatever. Even though our responsibility is so high in the military, we still every day know that we have food, know that we have money, know that we, there's never worry, there's never concern, there's never that crash and burn concept. So just that integration alone is tough. It's really hard. That's what I'm seeing. I did a conference with Travis Mannion Foundation just probably 3 months ago, and I was talking to a gunnery sergeant that she's 20 years in and gets out, and she's been out for a year and cannot get a job because she's been sitting at high management for how long? You know, she's been a manager forever. She's applying for management jobs and somehow she's not qualified. That, you know, that's on the employer to say, let's not just weigh education, let's weigh everything else.
Yeah, you know? I mean, there's skills that are very transferable.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't make sense.
And I think another part of the problem, and I hate to talk about this because I got a lot of friends that promote this socially, like through their things that they're doing, their adventures, but we have this party mentality just in our country in general, right? That it's cool to drink 15 beers in a night and count what you're drinking. And we really embrace that in the military because your day-to-day life is kind of shitty. And you're dealing with anyone from one rank above you to on making your day shitty regardless of what's going on. So you drink it away a lot. And because of that, you're looking at alcohol abuse, drug abuse, all these things come into play. One of my best friends is a meth addict. You know, it continues to attack you afterwards, and it beats you down. And that's not all because of combat service. You know, and what people need to understand is we still function. We still function well. We're the best workers in the workforce. Put me in any job. I guarantee you I'll outwork you. You know, it doesn't matter. And that's because of our mentality and who we are. We were born heroes. We signed because we were already heroes. We joined because we were already heroes. And it shows in our work. It shows in what we are. You know, we are sustainable members of every workforce. And it's just tough when you're not getting those jobs. You're not having that support just to get through that. Yeah.
Wow, that's, you know, I never thought about, not only is it, you know, combat related, but just integrating back into the general population after, no matter what your experience in the military has been. That's something I don't think anybody or most of us haven't even considered would be a struggle.
But yeah, and people have this stigma. Yeah, I hate this stigma. I want to slap the stigma. The whole 22 push-ups a day, right? That was all over the internet for a little while, and I think it's amazing. I think it's great. I've been spreading the message myself. I got this on my wrist. It's a 22.
I wanted to ask you about that. Yeah.
I got that on my wrist 7 days after my brother died. I got it on my 34th birthday, and I've been fighting for the same thing. But when you spread it to that populace and you spread it to celebrities and you spread it to people that don't really understand, there needs to be some educating, you know, because they're talking about this broken combat veteran that is, you know, just destroyed. That's not who we are. And we haven't really touched on my brother yet, which I'm sure we'll get to in the interview, but he wasn't a broken veteran. My brother loved the Marine Corps. And he was.
You want to talk about him now? Like, go.
Yeah, he was beat down from 20 years of police service. He was dealing with post-traumatic stress. He was dealing with depression, but you can't notice it. You don't see it. Us as a veteran, most of us are really good at masking our emotions. Most of us are really good at just keeping it in, holding it in and saying, you know what, I'm good. I'm going to help everyone else because that's what I do. I help people. And that's what he did for years and years and years. He helped people. I heard so many stories at his funeral of how he saved their son's life, talked him off the ledge from committing suicide, or, you know, he went and helped this homeless family and did this. These are stories from the community of the thousands of people that came to his funeral because they all knew him personally and he had touched them personally because he was a hero. He was Superman. He was Superman to me, man. I lost my dad 6 months prior. That was my big brother. You know, that's what I had left. And I have one brother left now, man, and we're going to freaking ride it out hard. But at that point, he was the patriarch of the family. He was the number one. And I think all the weight on his shoulders from helping so many others is part of what created the ultimate end, you know, and the stigma of this broken person is just so off because they exist, but they're the minority of what's happening. Suicide is not a disease of the poor. Yeah, it's not.
Well,
Because the poor push and work harder, and, you know, because they've already lived the worst of the worst. Suicide is middle class and up, and he fit into that category, but he was this Superman. He was this amazing person, this incredible person. So 1,000 times on my Facebook page after his suicide, I got messages saying, I would have never thought it was Michael. I don't know what that means. I don't understand that, but I get it, you know, because he had such a air about him. He was so amazing and so incredible. People went to him for everything of advice. But what was going on inside of his head, what he had suppressed for a lot of years after losing our father, it was enough to take him.
I'm so
And
sorry.
in one moment of weakness, an entire family and a lot of other people were shattered. You know, he has 4 kids. He has 4 kids. His youngest 7. And it makes no sense. It still doesn't, you know, but we have to find him. And my goal in life right now, everything that I am doing moving forward and everything I've done for the last year since this happened is to find him, that person that is going to wreck that family that doesn't even know it yet. And like I would do to him right now, if I saw him, I wouldn't tell him I love him. I wouldn't hug him. I'd punch him in the mouth before I did any of that. And that's what Superman Falls is. I want to punch this person in the mouth and say, dude, you're about to ruin your family. You're about to wreck everything. And there are so many people that depend on you. So it's time to step up. Yeah. And that's where I'm at. That's why we're doing what we're doing, because I haven't taken my foot off the gas since I realized I have to move forward.
That's key. And, you know, to your point also earlier, you were saying that, you know, Marines are very good at masking their emotions.
Mm-hmm.
In general, a lot of people that suffer from depression and suicidal thoughts are always misdiagnosed because people are very good at, you know, just putting on a good facade
Mm-hmm.
because they don't want people interfering. They feel the way they feel, and they're just digging themselves deeper and deeper and deeper. So, you know, for you to receive messages like that on your Facebook page, like I never would have thought, you know, that's a very common perception of people that do succumb to it, of families of people who succumb to it, because you don't know. You don't always know. It's not very clear, cookie cutter, you know, signs. Even obviously there are, but in many cases there aren't. And I'm very sorry, and my condolences to you and your family. And I know that those words always sound trite to me, but know that it is coming from the heart. I can't imagine the pain that you and your brother's family have gone through.
Yeah. Yeah, looking back, there were signs. It's just we were all grieving losing our father 6 months prior. Yeah, so every single one of us probably showed signs. Yeah, so it wasn't something that was easy to decipher at the time. Looking back, playing Monday morning quarterback, of course, we can all say, well, I saw that coming, but it's not the reality. And my message is you that is there, that is going through this, that feels like they have no hope and they're lost, but they can only say that inside. Say it out loud. Say it to someone. Realize how much they care about you and go get help. You know, that's my message on that.
Is there something in military training that encourages the suppression of your emotions so that you're more efficient, or is there a thought process behind that?
Well, it's bravado. Like, you go, first of all, you go through a boot camp, you're suppressed, period. You keep your mouth shut and you do what you're told. Yeah.
You just want to look badass, I know.
People don't understand. Like, that stuff is legit. Like, I remember waking up in the morning sometimes in Paris Island, and we'd be down in formation, and then all of a sudden they decided to put us in the sand pit and like thrash us before we went to chow at like 4 a.m. And I remember like standing in formation afterwards, just covered in sand and sweat, and thinking in my head, this can't be real life. Like, I'm going to wake up in Kentucky tomorrow and everything's going to be okay. I literally thought that so many times, because you're just following orders, period, nothing else. And I mean, that doesn't necessarily translate, but it does. You have to suppress every thought, every complaint, you're not allowed to complain. You know, if you get sick, you're a sick call bitch. You know, like, there's a whole world of bravado. I work in the fire service. It still exists. You know, it still exists now. And any type of service like that, he was a police officer. It existed. So rather than go see a therapist or complain or tell somebody that you love and care about that something's wrong with you, you'd rather take it in, because it's what you know. You know to keep your mouth shut. You know that you're not supposed to cry, or you're not supposed to show emotion. I think I saw my father cry like twice my entire life. Once when his brother passed, and once when his mother passed, and that was it. And you don't. My son sees me cry all the time, man, and maybe it's because we've had a rough couple of years, but sometimes I just cry hugging him and telling him I love him. You know, it's different once you can break that plane and actually release that emotion. It's different, but you have to get there. And yeah, we are kind of told we shouldn't. So yeah.
So is that what makes the difference between, you had said that you had written an entire album, but that it wasn't until you had written Superman Falls that you, quote unquote, said the fog had lifted. So was that your true emotions coming through finally when you did Superman Falls?
No, all of it was the true emotions. I wish I could explain. I went 3 months numb. Completely numb. I didn't know what to feel, how to feel. For the first, that's why I quit drinking, because for the first like 20 days after, I was still drinking, and I had lost control of every single like post-traumatic stress trigger that I had. And I was going through my own breakdowns, and I was like, I have to stop. So I quit, and I'm done, and never again. But it was a long time of just my own personal suppression, my own inward. People at work, like, because I'm crazy, I'm goofy, I'm loud, I'm outgoing. They're like, "Who are you? Like, are you okay? Do you need help?" People trying to offer me therapy. I was like, no, I'm good. I just need to get through this. And I hit a point in I don't know, in March or April, and I sat down and I wrote an entire album in a week. And that album was needed. It was definitely needed, because there were songs on there that, like The Show Goes On, which is, you know, talking about just the decision that was made and how it went along, but no matter what you did to us, we have to go on, you know. And there's like a line in that says, I didn't realize you were broken. I just wish you would have said you're all right, you know. Or who will be there to hold the hand of your baby girls when you're walking down the aisle, you know. Like, and it's saying now that I have to take that responsibility, and my brother has to take that responsibility, and we have to step up because of these flaws. And I want people to know this. That's the reason this entire album's written, The kiss goodbye he gave his daughter before he left to go shoot himself, and how she feels about that is in this album. Yeah, and it's all written, but I hadn't written what I like to call my title tracks. You know, I hadn't written that yet, and I was finished. I put it down. I think it was maybe a month later, 2 months later, when I wrote Superman Falls, and it came out of nowhere. I woke up in the middle of the night singing the chorus, like everything. Yeah, I was just getting it, and I wrote it super fast. Like I picked up a guitar and boom, 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 done. And after that, yeah, the fog lifted. The fog. I felt better after I wrote the album. My brother Nathan came out to California while I was writing the album because he thought something was wrong with me. That's how bad it was. And I was at a point, and he called me and he's like, "Hey, I'm flying out." I'm like, "What's going on?" He's like, "I just want to come see you." And it turned out that it was because of that. You know, I was going through this, and I didn't realize I was projecting as hard as I was, but I had to go through that. I had to beat myself down in order to move forward. And yeah, there's a lot of anger in that album. There's a lot of, you know, just pissed off, whatever. It's the most rock and roll I've ever done, like as far as rock. Yeah, and it wasn't done. Like I felt like it wasn't done, and I still felt like there was something hanging on to me. I hadn't really aggressively attacked going forward yet with what we were going to do in general. And I finished Superman Falls, and that was it. You know, like I said, the fog did lift. It was like, I know now. I know. You know, the minute I finished that song, I knew I wrote a hit. I was like, I know, this is it. So I went after it. At that point, we attacked it hard. So it's kind of, and that's why we're here today. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's so amazing. What do you want people to think about when they listen to your music?
That song specifically, honestly, is just I'm reaching out to a certain person. I told you that. Yeah, that's the guy in the veteran community that is my brother. You know, the Superman of the family that's really broken inside, and I'm reaching out to them personally because I want them to wake up, dude. You know, I want them to go get help or whatever they need to do. I don't care what it is that you got to do. Whatever makes you feel good, do it. But that's what that one specifically is. I mean, when it comes, our message has been pretty clear, I think. You know, not all of my music is about the military, but Superman Falls isn't about the military. It doesn't mention the military. It doesn't talk about, you know, this is not John the Marine. This is not John the musician. This is not John the firefighter. This is John the little brother that lost an older brother, and bringing that to every family and letting them see what's left behind. An entire family falls apart, and I'm living in it. I know it. You know, I know it. I have my family has had a lot of problems since this happened, and it's not going to be easy, and it's taken a lot of healing, and everybody has to work together, and at times we don't. And it's hard, and it does this 22 times a day in our community. You know, 22 veterans a day in our community are dealing with what I was dealing with. I remember my brother's funeral, and we were riding in the funeral procession, and there was a couple hundred cops front and back of us. We literally shut down northern Kentucky, and I thought, this happened 21 other times today. Yeah. This happened 21 other times today. And I just remember thinking, shit, we really have to change this. You know, we really have to change this. So, you know, that's always my message with my music is hope. You know, I want people to know that anything is possible. I grew up on a farm in Kentucky. I came from a world that there is no pop culture. There is no becoming a star. There is none of that. I've been on TV probably 50 times in the last year, or last 3 years. And we have a movie coming out. I have albums on iTunes. These are things that as a child I could have never imagined fathomable. I deal with post-traumatic stress. I lost my father and my brother in a 6-month period. And I'm releasing an album almost exactly a year after that. You know, almost a year after my brother I'm releasing an album that is going to try to save lives from what he went through. Anything is possible. You have to go forward. You have to believe in what you're doing and work hard. Yeah, and that's it. You can do it.
Well, let me ask you this. I had interviewed Carrie Cahill a couple of weeks ago, and she said something so poignant that I always say to a veteran, thank you for your service. And what Carrie said is, don't just say thank you for your service, but follow it with an action. How can we show our appreciation and support for veterans? What are some ways we can do that and give back?
Well, it depends. Thank you for your service. Honestly, to me, it's always been very awkward. I have a lot of trouble because I did what I was supposed to do. You know, I came from a family of Marines. That's my job. That's who I am. You know, so for me, it's like me going into your office and you're working at a computer, and I say thank you for your service. You know, that's because
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, I am that person. So. No, but so it's always been awkward to me, but I do appreciate it when people say it. I think it's awesome. I still thank veterans. When I see World War II veterans, when I see people, the Vietnam veterans, I still talk to them and say, you know, thank you, sir, for your service and blah, blah, blah. And then maybe we'll talk about mine. A lot of times I don't. I just thank them. Yeah, action. You said it, action. Action is possible in so many different ways. There are a million nonprofits right now because the VA is not holding up. The VA is not doing its job. We are stepping up as a veteran community and creating our own nonprofits to help people. We're creating veteran-run charities that are doing retreats and all these different things. Look into them. Find out what they are and what they're about. Yeah, and don't just send $10. Don't, you know, please send $10 to my album. And yeah, that's, but don't just do that. Get involved. People love when people are involved and want to be part of it. It's special to give back to those that gave so much for you. You know, a lot of these guys lost really close friends, you know, lost family members. One of our guys on our album, Ryan Weaver, it was a Black Hawk pilot. His brother was shot down in Iraq. They were there together. His brother was shot down and killed in Iraq. You know, we go through things that in 4 years of life can be compressed to what other people have trials and tribulations over 20 years. You know, so yeah, thank you for your service is cool, but act, do something. You know, I even tell the other veterans, do something. You know, I want to be your conduit. I want to prove to you that we can. Yeah, and that's what we got to do. If I'm pulling in a Grammy next year, I promise you by if I take that in February, I promise you by March or April, I'm kicking down the doors of Congress. Yeah, we have things to do, and we need to all be active in that. Our community as well. We shouldn't sit there and whine and complain and say, you know, I don't get this or I don't get that. If you don't get it, act. That's all I can say. You know.
Right. I mean, self-advocacy is key for anything. And I think it's amazing that the veteran community is taking the reins and building their own foundations and building their own nonprofits. So do you want to talk about the Valkyrie Initiative?
Yeah, so the Valkyrie Initiative is actually a really cool nonprofit. And the reason this album started, we haven't really talked about it yet. So Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes. Pre-order on iTunes right now. You can go to my Facebook page and click on the link, or you can just go to iTunes and either search for John Preston or search for Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, and it'll pop up for pre-order.
The link to your Facebook page is in the description of this video when it gets uploaded, so nobody should have any problems finding you.
Yes. So Valkyrie Initiative actually came up with this concept, this album. Sheila Stevens wanted to create something where she's asking for money, but she's giving back in doing so. She didn't want to just ask for money. And Valkyrie Initiative is actually a very small nonprofit. They're not huge yet. They're not one of the monsters. So all of the money going to them is going to them for services. They help veterans with integration. They teach classes of getting back into society, but they don't just work with veterans, they work with veterans and first responders. So if you're a police officer, firefighter, anything from the 4-year veteran to the 20-year firefighter, they're going to help you get back into the real world, and things like the post-traumatic stress that you may be dealing with, teaching you how to cope with that, and going through things that are therapeutic with your peers. So they decided they were going to make this album. They reached out to a ton of different combat veteran artists and asked if we would be interested. I honestly, don't tell anyone, I think I was the last phone call that they made, and that's kind of been my life. I've always been, last pick, not really, but I think I was the last phone call, and they I find out that they called in like April, like right when I wrote Superman Falls, and I didn't donate Superman Falls. I gave Your War Is Over, which is also on the album, and we waited, I think, September, October, and I'm at this time moving, trying to figure out how I'm going to get my project up and running. And they posted on Facebook this picture of the artist and their songs that are going to be on the album. And I see Scooter Brown Band, and I see Ryan Weaver, and I see Rowdy Johnson, people I've been following for a long time. I joke with Scott now, Scooter Brown, because when I took over, I executive produced this album. When I took over it, I called him and I said, check your Facebook inbox. And he opened it up, and there were like a ton of messages from me over the last 3 years where I'd been reaching out to him, trying to work. Yeah, so
small world.
It was amazing that Sheila was able to put us all together, because now we all know each other and know each other well. Because believe me, I've been on the phone a lot, just making sure everybody's getting everything together, making sure things are working. We had some issues with the iTunes link on day one. So it's just, I wanted this bad. I knew no matter what, I was going to work to make this happen, because I have a complete vision of where Superman Falls goes. So I was going to work my butt off for every single one of us in order to do so, and it's kind of how it's worked for the last few months of putting this together. But Sheila came up with the concept. Sheila put the album together. And when I saw it, I said, can I please call Pacific Records and get us a release with this instead of just burning CDs? Yeah. And she said, yes, let's do that. And Pacific said, yeah, we'll give 100% back. We'll do it. Why not? It's a great PR. So they are in San Diego. They love veterans. They are surrounded by Marines and sailors. All of them have ties to the military somehow from their family or whatever. So Pacific has been super cool about supporting literally my whole journey for the last 3 years. We always give back to charity. We take it out of their money and my money, not just mine. So it was just, it was all magic, and it all fell together to be where we are. When I did that, I said, I want the best quality music, period. I want to do Superman Falls, and I want to record with Alan Sanderson, which is one of their guys that has Grammys and has done everybody from Elton John to Fleetwood Mac to Weezer and Rihanna. Yeah. So I said, I want to be with the best of the best. We took everything that I probably made in the last 3 years of money, because I had never spent it, and we put it on that, so we wanted to give the best product possible, because I know that we're going to make a huge difference with this. I know that it's going to be loud. It's going to be amazing. And we have a hit that can actually make change, So we are giving 100% to Valkyrie Initiative. It's going to be awesome. They plan on buying a property. I think we'll buy it for them. It's exciting.
Oh.
So
wow. Like an actual brick and mortar.
Yeah, it's somewhere where they can have their retreats. So
that's wonderful.
And
And will that be tied into the album, or would this be a separate project for them?
Well, it'll whatever we make off the album is going to them and their projects. So
okay. So it's just tied in
enough off the album, yeah, then we will be buying something for them. So that's the plan. I want to sell 1 million copies. That's what, $800,000. I think iTunes takes like 20 cents. So $800,000 in the pocket of a nonprofit. And
That's nice.
yeah, I think we've already sold a decent amount of albums, and we're only like 5 days into pre-order, so
Oh, that's fantastic.
we should be doing well by the time we release.
Oh, wow. That's great. And you said that the link for the iTunes is on your Facebook page.
Yeah, or you can go to my YouTube page right now. It's on there with the new Superman Falls video.
Okay.
And it's on Facebook and Twitter and anywhere where I could have posted, it's there.
And what I will do is, as much as, just tag me whenever you want, whenever you can, and I will also tell my friends, and they'll tell their friends, and so on and so on. The more word gets out, the better. I mean, this is just incredible. I feel like I have to say, from a personal experience, I don't have any family that was ever in the military. And when, you know, Carrie first mentioned you and the Valkyrie Initiative, it intrigued me. And then when I was told I got the green light to interview you, and I started looking up your information, I felt like this whole entire world just opened up that I had no idea about.
That's happening right now for a lot of people, like their first time opening the John Preston book. It's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, wow. I mean, just in this short time that you and I are having a conversation, I feel like my mind has just expanded so much, and I feel so, I felt like, oh my goodness, I was so ignorant an hour ago. I still am, but I am better off than I was an hour ago. There is so much that we as civilians take for granted and don't understand, and we assume we understand because we see how the military is portrayed in media, on TV and in movies, and how things are
horrible. You know, we're all clowns for the most part. You know, to do the job we do, you have to be a clown. You have to be able to like just blow things off your shoulder and really have a lot of fun when you're not doing it. And it's funny because the TV military is hilarious. You know, it's always these stern, like tough guys. Yeah, it's like, come on, dude, that's not us.
We have some comments in the chat window. We have DRKTY Gress, Dark Tigress. Got it. It's Dark Tigress. And Dark Tigress is saying thanks for your service. I know that makes you feel awkward, but thank you for your service. And then we have my daughter using my husband's account saying, it's Raven, can I play when I come home? Oh my God. Yeah, that happened.
Okay. Yes, you can play.
Yeah. Maybe. Depends. Oh, wow. I'm looking at my questions because I know we went out of order, and that totally screwed.
Oh, we just messed you up. I know you intended to talk about day to night maybe at some point.
Well, no, it's cool because you know what? You were giving me like perfect segues into everything that we wanted to talk about, so I had to take it when you gave it. What did I? Oh, I wanted to talk about the song "Day to Night."
Yes, let's do it.
Tell us about how that happened, where that came from.
That's another story in its own. That's a whole different world. It's kind of crazy. To switch gears real quick. That song was written with intention, exactly like everything else that I write is with intention. I want to make noise when I do what I do. I had a friend that I was working with in the fire department. His son was in Afghanistan. We were at work one day when he got a phone call basically saying, we don't know if Nick is alive. There's been, you know, a firefight and he may be gone. We stressed for a day, and then he found out that it wasn't Nick that was shot, but it was Charles Strong that was shot and killed. The irony was that Charles was shot on his last day in Afghanistan. They were actually boarding a helicopter to leave the base to go to another base and get on a plane to leave. That song was written a lot like Superman Falls. I sat down at a piano. I didn't have a vision. I wasn't writing about Charles Strong at the time I sat down, and before I got through the first verse of me playing and singing, just playing and singing to get a melody, I had written the first verse. So it went really fast, probably a 20-minute song. And I joke sometimes, I'm like, that wasn't me. Like, Charles came down and talked to his wife for a little bit, you know, and it was about that. It was about the letter in my pocket when I was in Iraq saying sorry, but I didn't make it home. And that thought every time you went outside the wire, just one more time, you know, just one more day, one more time, and I can get back. And we wanted to not only commemorate Charles for what he did, not only immortalize him with his wife and his daughter that will never meet him. She was 7 months pregnant when Charles died. So not only for Sophie to have Charles forever and see this story of her mother and this beautiful relationship, but also it was to show the country at the time that was silent about everything going on in the Middle East that we were still fighting a war. Yeah, that was in 2014 or 2015, I think Charles was killed. And we wanted to show everyone, hey, this is still happening. A lot happened during that time. My dad died while we were shooting the video. So it was kind of, well, he didn't die that day. Basically, he coded 2 days prior to shooting the video or 3 days prior to shooting the video. And I wasn't going to go. I flew to Kentucky instead of flying to LA. And I flew to Kentucky and spent a day with my dad. They said he was going to wake up. They were like, you better go, because if he wakes up and you're not there, he's going to be pissed. This is all he's been talking about. So I flew to LA. Actually, I flew to San Francisco, drove to LA, drove back to San Francisco, flew to Kentucky. So that was a fun trip. And that whole weekend was just emotionally draining. You can see in the video, I'm a wreck, and I was really a wreck. Yeah. This wasn't acting. I was a wreck. My father was laying in a hospital bed. He wasn't awake. He had potentially had brain damage, and I didn't know what was going on. So I think there was a point. We have those wonderful behind the scenes videos. We have one for that. And there was a point during that interview that's not on anything where Dave Neese, who knows me very personally, was interviewing me, and he asked me, you know, can you tell us what's going on in Kentucky right now? And I broke down. Like, I completely broke it. I said, I just want to be back there now. And it was wonderful because in the video, we actually flew out Taylor Strong, the wife of the Marine that died. She brought her baby Sophie with her. We spent the 3 days together as all of us, with my band and her family. But I had all of that going on at the same time and had this just emotional overrun of everything going on. It was already crazy that Taylor was facing this 6 months after Charles died, coming out and shooting this video. I was so scared to call her when I first called her, like, hey, do you want to be part of this? But
what was her initial reaction to it?
The initial reaction to the song was that she couldn't get all the way through it, but she loved it. Her initial reaction, I actually asked her originally just to come out and do interviews. And we were gonna hire an actress to play her, and she said, if we're doing the video, I'm playing myself. So that was incredible that she said, only I can be me. Yeah. So it was really cool. And she had doubts all the way up to the day she got on the plane and flew out. So she went for it, and it was amazing. You know, it's been, that album was a success, and it got out to a lot of people. Charles's story has lived on, you know, and it meant a lot to know. I mean, Sophie will go back and watch this 10 years from now, 20 years from now. She'll see her mother young and beautiful and vibrant. She'll see the story of her dad and how amazing and incredible he was. And we have immortalized that, you know. So it's, and at the same time, even during that time and even during that album release, all the press that I was doing, I was still, you know, assaulting veteran suicide and assaulting post-traumatic stress and trying to continue to move that, because that's where my career started and it's where it's going to end, regardless of, you know, how many Grammys or whatever I pull on in life. I'll always be doing something positive. I don't care. You know, I don't need the Hollywood party life.
Right, that's true. I mean, it all comes down to the purpose and the intent, and what you're doing is so absolutely moving and amazing and inspiring. Speaking of inspiring, I wanted to mention the keychain that I would like to put forth for fundraising for the Valkyrie Initiative, if you're cool with talking about that now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, well, after I watched the behind the song Superman Falls, it literally just I felt like I was barraged with so much raw emotion, because like I said, this was something, you know, as a civilian, I've never experienced myself, or anybody that I know has experienced. So it moved me to really truly want to do something, something that I can do my part to help. So I designed a dog tag keychain that reads Superman Falls. And I would like to, I don't know, you had mentioned doing it one way. I'm not, if you wanted to talk about how you wanted to.
However you want to do it is how we'll do it. I'm happy to support you in whatever decision you make, and we'll get it out there.
Okay. I was thinking, sorry about that. My stuff fell down. I was thinking that what we could do also, in addition, like if you had a special event you wanted to raise funds for, I can totally do that. And what I was also thinking of doing is putting it in my shop. I have a website that I can send you the link to, and I will donate 100% of the proceeds from the sales of this and donate them to the Valkyrie Initiative.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, and I think we'll do it that way. Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
That's super cool, and then we'll put it up. We'll get everybody to share it out, and we'll make a difference. You know, people ask questions when they see things they don't understand or know. That's why the tattoo's on my wrist. I want people to ask me. Yeah. And when carrying a dog tag right around like that, people will ask, and that's a good thing. Yeah.
Exactly. I think it's so important now that we break out of the bubble that we're in as civilians and really take a look around it and look, like you said earlier, you know, look up some nonprofit organizations. And, hey, I mean, it doesn't even have to go out that far. I mean, if you have a neighbor that's a veteran, reach out to them, see what they need. You know, yeah. I think that we have so many preconceived notions of what they're experiencing, and I want to thank you for, you know, this conversation, because it's brought so much to light, and it's opened up my eyes to a whole other community and set of issues that I'd really like to do my part and help too. And I hope that other people, when they watch this video, they'll also feel compelled to do the same, or at least spread the word about how, you know, they can go about and give back to those who've given so much for us. And do you have any last thoughts that you'd like to leave with our viewers?
We're not broken, you know. We're not broken. None of us are. And regardless of what life you've lived and what experiences you have, you just have to know that you can go forward. You know, you just have to know that it's possible. And whatever it is you want to do, you want to be a firefighter, you want to be a cop, or you want to be a rock star, it's all possible. You know, that is my message. And that's not just to the veteran community, that's to everyone. You just got to do it, and you got to believe it's happening, and it will. Yeah, I am living proof that it happens when you believe it happens. And yeah, just check us out. Go on YouTube, go on Facebook, look us up. Like she said, you will have a whole new experience, because we have a lot of content. We've been doing this for a few years. And we're a talented group of Marines all playing music together. So go get Battle Cry on pre-order and get us in the charts. We know we're going to be there already, but just how high? Yeah. So go get it on pre-order and get us there. And we're going to make noise for the entire veteran community to break that stigma that is existent right now, that has us as this broken, tattered person. We're not. We're incredible, and we're going to prove that. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. And for all of our viewers out there, the video, in the description of this video, you'll find John Preston's Facebook page information as well as his Twitter account. Please follow, share the information, see what you can do to do your part. And please check out also the Valkyrie Initiative as well. And please go to iTunes and buy, because that's what I'm going to do as soon as I end the call. I'm so excited. And you can get a preview of the music. If you go to John's Facebook page, there are videos behind the song for Day to Night, for example, Superman Falls. And they're just so moving, emotional, mind-blowing, and they fucking rock too. I mean, let's just go there too. They're just amazing. It's from a musical standpoint.
That's true. I try not to boast. I really don't, but yeah, like,
do it.
At this point, I've realized I'm pretty good. Yeah, like I know that, and I just try not to. I try to stay humble. I'm a good writer. That's what I always say.
Well, I'm blown away. Yeah. I am totally blown away. Oh, God, my children are invading the chat window. Stop it.
That's awesome.
Oh my God. I have 4 and they're all, half of them are in there somewhere. Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, right? Oh, can you unlock the door outside for a second? Oh my God, I think they're
even better.
Okay, so on that note, and
that's how you end the show.
Wow, okay. I'll deal with them in a minute. I want to thank you again, John. This has been an amazing conversation, and I really appreciated the time that you took out of your schedule to talk to me about your album, about your music, about your experiences. And I hope that we can connect again in the near future, so we can talk about after the release of your album, how everything's going and how high that
all the madness. So it sounds exciting. I can't wait to hear myself on the radio this time, and
right, that has to be.
We're doing it. You know, it's pretty cool. It's a neat feeling, and it's time to hear it. And I want to walk into Starbucks and hear it. You know, that's what I'm looking forward to doing. Is hearing it when I get in my car to drive down the road, and we'll change a lot of lives. We'll save a lot of lives. If you're feeling it right now in your head and you don't want to say anything out loud, say it out loud. Please go get help. Write me on Facebook. I will write you back immediately. So let's do it.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Totally.
Well, thank you again, John. And everybody, click those links and have a great night. And I hope you have a wonderful night, and we will be in touch very soon.
All right.
Okay, thanks. Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching.